Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution, and also in part by Xyway brand fungicide, where you get an unfair advantage. Always read and follow label directions. Trying to keep track of everything in Washington right now is pretty much a full-time plus job. Thousands of employees at the United States Department of Agriculture across an array of agencies and jobs have been fired since Thursday, DTN has learned. USDA on Friday afternoon released a few details about the downsizing and frozen contracts. The job cuts were part of a broader effort by the Trump administration to reduce the federal workforce. The administration moved to terminate most of the estimated 200,000 probationary employees, meaning they were in their first or second year of federal service. From what DTN has learned, most of the employees released at USDA agencies were in their probationary periods. That doesn't mean they were all new employees. Some people who lost their jobs were probationary because they had been recently promoted to a job that had a probationary period. The firings were carried out as newly sworn-in Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins delivered her first address to about 400 USDA staff, members of Congress, and stakeholders at USDA's headquarters on Friday morning. Rollins was confirmed by the Senate on Thursday. Well, here are some of Rollins' comments about the topic. Ag Secretary Rollins talked to a lot about egg prices since Friday, saying USDA will now be rolling out more tools to combat avian influenza, but also blamed soaring prices on overregulation by the Biden administration as much as impacts on bird flu. Trump administration officials spoke frequently during the weekend about changing the strategy for combating bird flu. Kevin Hassett, the director of the National Economic Council, told CBS Face the Nation Sunday that the Biden administration focused on killing chickens, and they spent billions of dollars just randomly killing chickens within a perimeter where they found a sick chicken. Hassett said there needs to be more focus on biosecurity and medication to deal with avian influenza instead. And so having a smart perimeter is what we're working on, and we're finalizing the ideas about how to do that with the best scientists in government. And that's the kind of thing that should have happened a year ago, he said. If we had done that, egg prices, well, they wouldn't be where they are today. Looking a little deeper into the avian influenza, just since the start of the year, 131 commercial poultry operations have been hit. This includes egg-laying chickens, broilers, and turkey farms, affecting 32.1 million birds. On February 14th, USDA reported 2 egg-laying operations in Jay County, Indiana, tested positive, affecting 2.6 million birds. In Ohio, more than 8.9 million chickens have been affected in the last 30 days. Now, outbreaks of HPAI in commercial table egg layer flocks continue to slow flock recovery efforts. Supply remains unbalanced and dependent upon the impact of HPAI on source farms, as marketers whose regular supplies have been impacted are working to find new short-term supply sources in a very competitive market atmosphere, USDA said. When we look at job cuts, again, Rollins saying, speaking to reporters Friday at the White House, she said she didn't know exactly how many staff at USDA have been laid off. Now, Rollins calls it laid off. Most other reports call it fired, so there's a little bit of discrepancy there. Rollins spoke about President Donald Trump's election mandate and the job of cabinet members to implement that mandate. She said the American voters on November 5th last year concluded that U.S. government is too big. As far as the layoffs, I don't have the exact number, but yes, those will be forthcoming, she said. When asked about farmer contracts, she said that farmers that are frozen, that their question right now among the agriculture community is, will they receive their payments? And she said, I'm just getting my arms around that, but my commitment is that we will move so fast that there are farmers that are indeed waiting on payments that have been committed to them, then they will come forward. And that's all we know for now. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
A large part of the state turns out partly sunny today. I'm Chief Meteorologist meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag weather update. Most of the state is what I said, and that's because there is a weather system. This is the remains of that winter storm that hit Kansas and Oklahoma yesterday. The remains of that system passing by over Kentucky and Tennessee. And I do feel that we are going to be seeing some offshoot of that in southern Ohio. Mostly clouds, and if it's precipitation, maybe a flurry or two, but I just don't think it's much. Getting north of that, the northern two-thirds of Ohio, I think turns out partly sunny easily as high pressure, honestly, is still sitting right here. We see a reinforcing shot of Arctic air coming in behind the weather system that's passing by to our south. That's going to bring it strong north flow for tomorrow. That's important because that north flow, I believe, will probably trigger some lake effect coming off of Lake Erie into northern parts of Ohio. It's going to be in the usual suspect areas, north central, northeast, but I do think some clouds can get farther south, especially tomorrow morning early and into the midday hours. In any case, by the time we get done with the week, high pressure is going to be sitting right on top of us, so the coldest core of this Arctic air is here for Friday, for Saturday, and early Sunday. Sunday afternoon, we get on the backside of the high, start to see south flow in here. That's going to moderate temperatures for the start of next week. Monday afternoon and especially Tuesday, Wednesday, we see above normal temperatures. Then we have to watch for a weather system that wants to kick into the area the second part of next week, Thursday, Friday. Rain and maybe a little wet snow, but mostly rain. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Let's check in with Joel Penorwood with this week's South American Update.
Time once again for the latest South American update, thanks to Seed Genetics Direct, the #1 fastest growing and largest Ohio-based independent seed company. More information at seedgeneticsdirect.com. Geraldo Asildi of King Corn tells us the latest World Ag Supply and Demand Estimates report reflects growing concerns about South American crop conditions. In Brazil, soybean production is holding steady at 169 million metric tons. Corn estimates trimmed by 1 million because of delays in safrinha planting. Safrinha, their second crop. Meanwhile, Argentina facing greater drought-related setbacks, with soybean estimates dropping from 52 to 49 million metric tons and corn down to 50 million. Despite those reductions, South America's overall production remains historically strong. CONAB, Brazil's ag agency, made regional soybean adjustments with losses in drought-hit areas like Rio Grande do Sul, offset by gains in Paraná and Mato Grosso. The corn outlook has also seen mixed revisions, some states increasing output while others declined. Harvest progress is accelerating in Mato Grosso, with soybean harvest now about 50% complete, just over that, though still trailing last year's pace at this time. The safrinha corn planting is also picking up, reaching 45% of the planned area. While delays have raised concerns, historical trends suggest it's just too early to count out Brazil's corn crop. For Ohio producers, this means that while supply challenges exist, South American production is still substantial, and that's keeping global price pressure in check. The full update online at ohioagnet.com today, thanks to Seed Genetics Direct. I'm Joel Penorwood reporting.
And thanks, Joel. In 2023, Peru was the 28th largest market for U.S. agriculture exports, valued at $851 million, making it the third largest market in South America. The U.S.-Peru Trade Promotion Agreement entered into force in February of 2009, and U.S. agriculture exports reached $1 billion for the first time in 2014, peaking at $1.36 billion in 2018. The United States accounts for 14% of Peru's agriculture import market share, positioning it as the second largest supplier to the country. Since 2019, the U.S. agriculture exports to Peru have decreased by 17%. However, there has been an average growth rate of 4% since 2009. While Peru mainly imports bulk commodities globally, there is a significant growth potential for U.S. consumer-oriented agricultural products. Stay tuned, back with more after this.
Get ready, Ohio! National FFA Week is here, and we're celebrating the future of agriculture. The Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the News You Trust studio, and celebrating Ohio's nearly 30,000 FFA members. From the countryside to downtown, an Ohio FFA chapter can be found in every corner of our great state. Each student who zips up the blue corduroy jacket is equipped with the qualities of premier leadership, personal growth, and career success. From your friends at the Ohio AgNet, happy FFA Week.
Here's the scoop. Soybeans are fueling Ohio's dairy farms, one glass of milk at a time. Nationwide, dairy farms use the equivalent of 229 million bushels of soybeans every year. Plus, high oleic soybeans boost milk fat and yield, making farms more profitable. From the fields to your fridge, soybeans power the farms that feed families. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Oil futures declined on Friday as trade tariff uncertainty and inflation concerns pressured the markets, while refined products futures showed mixed movement amid seasonal demand shifts. The U.S. dollar index weakened by 0.59 points to 106.72 against a basket of foreign currencies. Now, oil prices came under pressure after U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday the 13th, initiating a 100-day review of reciprocal trade tariffs. The directive tasks officials at the U.S. Department of Commerce and the Office of U.S. State Representatives with analyzing trade imbalances and recommending changes. Findings are due by April 1st, delaying any immediate action. Adding to bearish sentiment, inflation data released Wednesday showed consumer prices rose by 0.5% in January, bringing the annualized inflation rate to 3.0%. The increase was driven by higher energy and food costs, with gasoline prices climbing 1.2% in the month. Retail sales fell by 0.9% in January from December, marking the largest monthly drop in nearly 2 years, but 4.2% higher year over year. Analysts noted that higher prices and uncertainty surrounding tariffs may have contributed to restrained consumer spending. The EIA confirmed that the weekly petroleum status report will be released on Thursday, February 20th, instead of its usual Wednesday schedule due to the President's Day holiday we observed on Monday. Back with the grain side of things after this. Farmers, crop consultants, and ag business leaders. The Conservation Tillage and Technology Conference is March 11th and 12th at Ohio Northern University in Ada. The theme is getting more from less. 4 concurrent sessions each day with 60 presenters. Registration today is $100 and includes exclusive access to videos of all sessions after April 15th. CCA and CLM credits included. Go to ctc.osu.edu for more information.
Morton Buildings is holding their annual Building Value Day sales event, running now until the end of February. If you are looking to build, now's the time to lock in your building project and save. Join them for their open house Friday, February 21st, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, February 22nd, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at one of their Ohio construction centers, Caldwell, Kenton, Wilmington, or Worcester. For more information and to find your local office, visit mortonbuildings.com. Certain restrictions may apply. This offer is available on select building styles. Contact your local construction center for more details.
Before we get to the grain, don't forget to go to grainelevatorauction.com for the liquidation sale of Wellman Seeds Buildings and Equipment. Bidding ends February 20th at 4 p.m. The website again, grainelevatorauction.com for your complete information. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For information on marketing your soybeans to LDC, call 574-566-2113. With the analysis, here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished higher on Tuesday as we get started on the new week. Of note, corn reaching a new high for this rally. We actually finally got March corn through that $5 threshold, closing at $5.02. Had a high put in at $5.04. We are now above $5 on all old crop contracts out through July, slipping back below on new crop contracts, especially the December corn. Still, though, sitting at a relatively strong price of $4.77.5 at the close yesterday. Wheat also scored some new rally highs, which was surprising given the pullback we saw early on in the market day yesterday, but that got pushed out the door by the corn rally overall. The Brazilian corn market has been firm all season despite weak export disappearance. That indicates 2024 production is likely overstated. Board of Trade Corn is actively working to steal acres from soy and cotton. We'll see how that works out. Again, we're a little over a month away from that big prospective plantings report. Those surveys go out for the month of March. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultant, simply better performance. Overnight at the open, December corn down 3/4 at 476 3/4. November beans down 2.5 at 1055 1/2. July wheat after two-sided trade is up 1/4 cent at 630 1/4 cent. September unchanged at 643 3/4. February cattle down 30 at 197.45. April lean hogs 93.20 up 60 cents, and April feeder cattle up $2.67 to $269.10. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio AgNet.